Hey everyone, welcome to the show. It's crazy how fame and fortune, those things we often think of as like the ultimate goals can actually become these huge burdens.
Especially when your life is put under a microscope,
Hmm.
Like with reality TV, it just amplifies everything, the good, the bad, and all the messy stuff in between.
Totally. And the stuff we're diving into today is really all about that. We've got a whole collection of material here that takes us right into the heart of, well, contemporary romance, reality TV, and the kind of drama that explodes when those two worlds crash together. If that sounds like your kind of thing, hit that like and subscribe button because we've got plenty more deep dives where this one came from.
I think it really gets at something that's so relevant today, like what does it even mean to be authentic when you're constantly being watched?
Right. And speaking of being watched, the centerpiece of our discussion today is Kiss the Sky by Krista Ritchie. You can find a link to it on Amazon in the description, along with all the other materials you sent us for this deep dive. And look, this isn't your typical fluffy romance. It digs deep into the pressures of family, the weight of wealth, and the very real struggles of addiction. It explores what it means to search for real connection when you're surrounded by the artificiality of fame.
It's like this constant push and pull between outward appearances and internal struggles. That's where the real story lies, right?
For sure. So, for this deep dive, we're going to be taking a close look at the Calloway sisters Rose, Lily, and Daisy, and their partners, Connor Cobalt, Lauren Hale, and we'll touch on Julian as well. The stuff you sent over gives us such a fascinating look into their lives as they try to navigate this whole reality show thing. Princesses of Philly, while dealing with some pretty heavy personal stuff and these super complicated romantic relationships. So what we're going to do today is unpack all of that for you, the conflicts, the big revelations, the stuff that really makes you think about what drives them, and the unique challenges they face under the constant spotlight of, well, fame.
Yeah, the whole premise of Princesses of Philly is pretty interesting, right? I mean, from what you've shared, the sisters agreed to do the show on one condition. They wouldn't pretend to be anyone other than themselves, flaws and all. That's kind of a risky move for reality TV, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. And you can kind of see how that sets the stage for all the drama that comes later. A lot of it, it seems, is orchestrated by the producer, Scott Van Wright. This guy is all about ratings, and he's not afraid to, stir the pot to get them.
Sounds like a classic reality TV producer.
Right. And one of the first things he does is put everyone in this crazy living situation. Rose, Connor, Lily, Loren, Daisy, and Loren's half-brother, Ryke Meadows, all under one roof, like intentionally creating this pressure cooker environment.
I mean, that's a pretty standard tactic in reality TV, right?
Yeah.
But what's really interesting here is how those manufactured situations collide with their existing personal dramas and complicated relationships.
Okay, so let's talk about Rose and Connor. Their relationship is described as a super intense intellectual connection, almost like they're constantly challenging each other, like two dominants, no submissive, as some people have said about them.
Two strong personalities, constantly pushing each other's buttons. You can see how that would be both exciting and exhausting.
Exactly. And that kind of dynamic makes it really interesting to see how they deal with vulnerability and emotional intimacy, like who makes the first move when both people are used to being in control.
It's a real dance, isn't it?
Totally. And then we see Rose being hesitant about physical intimacy with Connor, even though they've been together for a long time. It's so different from how confident she is in other areas of her life.
That's really interesting. It makes you wonder what's going on beneath the surface for her.
And then you have Connor, who is clearly possessive and really wants a committed future with Rose. Like, he's already thinking about having kids.
Wow, he's all in.
He is. But it makes you wonder, are they really on the same page about the future? Especially given Rose's reservations. It highlights how important it is for couples to be aligned on those long-term goals.
Communication is key, right? Especially when you throw in all the external pressures they're dealing with.
Exactly. We get these little glimpses into their dynamic that reveal a lot, like that truth or dare game, which shows how competitive they are, even in a supposedly romantic setting. And then you have those stolen moments during their trip to the Alps. Connor wanting to say, I love you, but not quite being able to get the words out, and Rose admitting that he's better than anything I imagined. It's like these little cracks in their armor showing the real connection underneath.
Those little moments are so powerful. They hint at this deep emotional bond that's trying to break through all the barriers they've built up.
But of course, there are always complications. I mean, Connor's mother clearly doesn't approve of Rose and even tries to set him up with someone else. And then there's the public reaction to how they're portrayed on the show. The whole Team Scott thing adds another layer of complexity. It's like the show is creating these artificial divisions and rivalries that might not even exist in reality.
It's like reality TV is writing its own narrative, and they're all just characters in it, whether they like it or not.
Okay, let's switch gears and talk about Lily and Loren. Their struggles are different, but just as intense. Lily's past struggles with sex addiction are a big part of their story, and their commitment to her recovery is clearly very important to them.
Dealing with addiction is hard enough on its own, but when you add in the pressures of fame and public scrutiny, it becomes exponentially more difficult.
For sure. And then their upcoming marriage is shrouded in these unusual circumstances, right? Partly driven by a desire to fix Lily's public image and partly because of her parents' financial demands. It doesn't exactly sound like the most romantic foundation for a marriage.
It makes you wonder how much of their relationship is genuine and how much is influenced by external forces.
But despite those external pressures, you can clearly see Lauren's protectiveness of Lily and the way they support each other, especially when Scott tries to manipulate them. Like with that whole Magic Mike DVD thing, it's like they're constantly having to fight to protect their relationship from these outside forces.
They're definitely trying to create their own bubble within this chaotic reality show world.
Yeah.
And Loren's decision to start taking abuse again is a testament to that. It shows how committed he is to their future together.
Right. And then you have Daisy, who is in this whole different situation. She's only 16, a high fashion model, and suddenly she's thrown into this adult world of reality TV. She's dealing with pressures that are unique to her age and her career. It's like she's trying to figure out who she is while the whole world is watching.
Yeah, and there's this fear that she might end up going down a similar path as Lily, given all the media attention. It's a lot for a young person to handle.
It really is. We see glimpses of her impulsiveness, like when she dives off that cliff. And then her relationships with Julian and Ryke suggest that she might have a pattern of staying in unhealthy relationships. And remember that pepper spray incident? She felt like she needed it for protection after ditching her bodyguards for the sake of the show. It's a pretty stark reminder of how this reality TV experience has impacted their sense of safety and personal space.
Yeah, it shows the trade-offs they've had to make in exchange for this public exposure. And it also brings us back to the role of the producer, Scott Van Wright. This guy is like the puppet master behind all the drama. He's constantly manipulating situations and pushing people's buttons, all for the sake of ratings, exploiting Lily's past addiction, potentially planting alcohol, and then the whole sex tape leak. It's pretty messed up.
Totally. And the family knows they're being manipulated, they know they're being edited, and that they don't have control over how they're portrayed to the public. Like, remember that psychic episode and how they were labeled in the show's promo? Daredevil, jackass, sex addict, man-hating, cold android. It's like they were being reduced to these simplistic and often negative caricatures.
Editing is such a powerful tool in reality TV. It shapes how viewers perceive these people, often in ways that are completely unfair and inaccurate.
And then the escalation to that sex tape leak, it was just devastating. The impact on Rose and Connor was huge. But what's interesting is that it became this turning point for the whole family. They finally united and said, enough is enough. They decided to end filming and walk away from the show.
It's like that horrible event forced them to reevaluate everything. It made them realize that their well-being and their relationships were more important than this whole reality TV charade.
And throughout all of this, you see this unwavering bond between the Calloway sisters. They protect each other, they offer advice, they're there for each other through thick and thin. Like Rose being so protective of Lily, Daisy offering her own brand of wisdom, and Lily's concern for Rose after the leak. It's clear that their sisterhood is a source of strength for them.
That kind of support system is so crucial when you're going through something like this, especially the family dynamic that seems pretty complicated.
And it's not just the sisters. Ryke, who seems like this tough, aloof guy at the start, actually becomes a really important source of support for them, too. It's like this unexpected alliance that emerges from all the chaos.
People can surprise you, right? Especially in high-pressure situations. You see who really has your back.
Okay, so let's wrap up by looking at where some of these characters end up. Connor makes a big decision to quit taking Adderall and reevaluates his priorities, choosing Rose over his MBA. That's a pretty significant shift. It shows how much he's grown and changed throughout this whole ordeal.
He's clearly making conscious choices about what kind of life he wants to live and who he wants to share it with.
And Rose finally starts to let her guard down and allows herself to be vulnerable with Connor. That's a huge step for her, considering how closed off she was at the beginning.
Vulnerability is hard, but it's also the key to genuine connection.
Their decision to move out of the townhouse, away from all the cameras and the drama, is symbolic, right? It's like they're reclaiming their privacy and trying to create a life that's actually theirs.
They're stepping out of the reality show bubble and trying to find some normalcy. It makes you wonder there how much of that experience will stay with them.
Yeah. And then we see Connor stepping into a leadership role at Cobalt Inc., suggesting that he's moving on and building a future outside of the reality TV world. And the epilogue hints at a possible wedding and a more stable future for some of them. It's hopeful, but it also leaves you wondering about the lasting impact of everything they've been through.
I think that's the most important takeaway for you to consider. How will this experience shape their lives moving forward? Will they ever truly be able to escape the shadow of the reality show?
Well, that was a deep dive into the world of the Calloway family. Thanks for sending us all this amazing material to explore. It's been a wild ride.
It really makes you think about the cost of fame and how hard it is to find genuine connection in a world where privacy is becoming increasingly elusive.
Absolutely. Now we want to hear from you. What was your biggest aha moment from this deep dive? Whose story resonated with you the most? Let's talk about it in the comments. Let's get a conversation going about reality TV, the complexities of relationships, and the challenges of personal growth in the public eye.
What does their story tell you about the nature of privacy and authenticity in our hyper-connected world?
So much to think about. Until next time, keep exploring, and we'll see you in the next deep dive.